On the floating island of Valtora, where the skies churn with eternal storms, Riven Shadowgale searches for the blade of the fallen sky, a mythical sword said to grant godlike power. The island's crumbling ruins speak of a once great civilization, now reduced to rubble and forgotten by time. As Riven treads carefully through the ruins, the eerie silence is broken only by the distant rumble of thunder and the howling winds. The legends tell of sacrifices, of great heroes who never returned, but Riven is determined to find the sword, believing it to be the key to saving his world from impending doom. With each step, the air grows colder, and Riven feels the weight of the island's gaze upon him, as if the very land itself is watching. Rhea Skywarden, a fierce warrior and Riven's closest ally, follows close behind, her sharp eyes scanning the horizon for danger. She has always been by Riven's side, through countless battles and trials, and her unwavering loyalty has never wavered. Together they have faced down impossible odds, and Rhea's trust in Riven's leadership is absolute. But as they delve deeper into the island's mysteries, Rhea begins to feel a strange unease, a creeping sense that something is not right. The island's energy is off, its atmosphere heavy with secrets and deceit, and Rhea wonders if they are truly prepared for what lies ahead. The duo soon encounters Aemon Skyfall, a scholar and keeper of ancient lore, who has long studied the myths surrounding the blade of the fallen sky. Aemon's knowledge is vast, and his presence offers some comfort in the foreboding environment. He speaks of the sword's history, of the many who sought it and the few who found it, only to be lost forever in its pursuit. Aemon warns Riven and Rhea of the trials that await, of the island's cruel tests that would challenge their resolve and their hearts. Despite his warnings, Riven's determination only grows stronger, driven by the belief that he alone can wield the blade and save his people. As they venture further, the group comes across Calia Stormveil, a mysterious figure shrouded in a cloak of mist, her intentions unclear. Calia claims to be a guide, someone who knows the island well, and offers to lead them to the sword. Her sudden appearance raises suspicions among the group, but Riven, desperate and running out of time, agrees to her offer. Calia's presence adds an air of mystery to their journey, and her cryptic words hint at deeper layers of the island's secrets. With every step, the tension grows, as Riven and his companions realize they are not alone on the island, and that their quest may not be as straightforward as they had hoped. The atmosphere darkens as they approach the heart of the island, where the sword is said to rest. The ruins here are more treacherous, with jagged cliffs and unstable ground. The storm above intensifies, as if responding to their presence, and the very air crackles with energy. Riven can feel the island's power, a tangible force that pulls him closer to his goal, but also a warning of the price he may have to pay. As they reach the entrance to the ancient temple that houses the sword, the group pauses, knowing that once they step inside there will be no turning back. The final trial awaits, and with it, the truth about the blade of the fallen sky. As Riven, Rhea, Aemon and Calia step into the ancient temple, the temperature drops suddenly, and the walls seem to close in around them. The air is thick with the scent of damp stone and something else, something metallic, like blood. The group proceeds cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. Strange symbols carved into the stone glow faintly in the darkness, and Riven feels a pull towards them, as if the very temple is calling out to him. The deeper they go, the more the island's influence weighs on them, turning their thoughts inward and amplifying their fears. The path through the temple is treacherous, with crumbling floors and hidden traps that seem almost alive, reacting to their presence. Rhea takes the lead, her warrior instincts sharp as she navigates the dangers with precision. But the temple is not merely a physical challenge, it tests their minds as well. Hallucinations begin to plague the group, twisting their perceptions of reality. Riven sees shadows moving in the corners of his vision, whispers of the past echoing in his ears. Aemon, ever the scholar, tries to decipher the symbols, but they seem to shift and change before his eyes, defying logic. Calia remains an enigma, her expression unreadable as she watches the others struggle. As they press on, they come across a vast chamber filled with ancient statues, each one depicting a warrior from a bygone era. The statues are positioned as if in battle, locked in eternal combat with unseen foes. Riven feels a strange kinship with them, as if they are warning him of the fate that awaits those who seek the blade of the fallen sky. Aemon's research had hinted at this, a final trial where the hero must face the remnants of those who came before. The statue's eyes seem to follow the group as they cross the chamber, and Rhea swears she sees one of them move, though when she looks again it is still as stone. At the far end of the chamber, they find a massive door, its surface etched with more of the glowing symbols. This door, Eamon says, is the final barrier, beyond which lies the sword, but opening it requires a sacrifice, an offering of something precious. The group hesitates, each of them considering what they might have to give up. Riven, driven by his determination, steps forward and places his hand on the door. The symbols flare to life, and he feels a sharp pain in his chest, as if the island itself is reaching into his heart. The door begins to open, but Riven knows that whatever lies beyond will come at a great cost. As the door creaks open, revealing a staircase leading down into darkness, the group prepares themselves for the final descent. The air is heavy with anticipation, and the storm outside intensifies, the thunder now shaking the very ground beneath their feet. Riven feels the weight of his choices pressing down on him, but he pushes forward, determined to claim the sword. Rhea and Eamon exchange a glance, their trust in each other clear, but Calia remains distant, her eyes fixed on the darkness below. The island seems to pulse with energy, as if it knows the endgame is near, and the true test is about to begin. As Riven, Rhea, Eamon and Calia descend the spiral staircase, the air grows heavier, almost suffocating. The darkness around them seems to pulse with malevolent intent, and the only light comes from the faint glow of the symbols on the walls, guiding them deeper into the island's core. Riven can feel the weight of the island's power pressing down on him, intensifying with each step. The sound of distant thunder reverberates through the stone, as if the very storm above is trapped within the temple, growing more volatile as they approach their goal. The staircase opens into a vast, subterranean chamber, where the blade of the fallen sky hovers above a stone pedestal, bathed in a ghostly blue light. The sword radiates an aura of immense power, its presence overwhelming and terrifying. Riven steps forward, mesmerized by the blade's beauty and the promise of the power it holds. But as he reaches out to claim it, the ground beneath them trembles and the air crackles with energy. Rhea and Eamon stand ready, weapons drawn, while Calia watches with an unreadable expression, her eyes flickering with something dark. Just as Riven's fingers brush the hilt of the sword, a searing pain shoots through his arm, and he is thrown back by an unseen force. The chamber's energy shifts violently, and from the shadows, a figure steps forward. It is Eamon, his face twisted with betrayal and greed. "Did you really think I would let you take it?" Eamon sneers, his voice echoing through the chamber. He reveals that he has been seeking the sword for himself all along, using Riven and Rhea to reach it. The sword, he explains, can only be wielded by one who sacrifices everything, and he intends to make that sacrifice, starting with Riven. A fierce battle erupts in the chamber, with Riven and Rhea fighting desperately against Eamon, who now wields dark magic drawn from the island itself. The chamber becomes a maelstrom of power, with lightning striking from the ceiling and the ground splitting open, revealing the island's molten core. Riven fights with everything he has, but Eamon's betrayal has shaken him to his core. Rhea too struggles against the overwhelming odds, her trust in Eamon shattered. Calia, meanwhile, remains on the sidelines, her motives still unclear as she watches the battle unfold with a calculating gaze. As the battle reaches its peak, Riven is forced to confront the truth. He cannot defeat Eamon alone. He must make a choice: trust Calia, whose true intentions are still a mystery, or risk losing everything. In a moment of desperation, Riven calls out to Calia, offering her a place by his side if she helps him defeat Eamon. Calia hesitates, the weight of the decision clear in her eyes, but then she steps forward, her hands glowing with ancient power. Together, Riven and Calia launch a final devastating attack, combining their strengths to overpower Eamon. The chamber explodes with light and sound as the island itself reacts to their combined power, sealing Eamon's fate. The chamber falls silent after the final strike, the air heavy with the aftermath of the battle. Eamon lies motionless on the ground, his ambition and greed having led to his downfall. The blade of the fallen sky hovers above the stone pedestal, its glow dimming as the island's power begins to recede. Riven, breathing heavily, looks at the sword with a mixture of triumph and sorrow. The victory feels hollow, knowing it came at such a great cost. Rhea approaches him, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder, her eyes filled with understanding. They both know that the journey has changed them, and that nothing will ever be the same. Calia, who had played a pivotal role in the battle, steps forward, her expression unreadable. She looks at Riven, and for a moment there is a tense silence between them. Then, without a word, she turns and walks away, disappearing into the shadows of the temple. Riven watches her go, unsure of her true intentions or what she will do next. Rhea suggests they leave the island before it's too late, sensing that the storm above is beginning to calm, but the island itself feels unstable, as if its very foundation is crumbling. As they make their way back through the temple, the once treacherous path now seems eerily calm, the traps and illusions no longer active. The island, having lost its guardian, appears to be returning to a state of dormancy. The glowing symbols on the walls fade away, and the oppressive atmosphere lifts slightly, though the weight of what has transpired still lingers. Riven and Rhea walk in silence, both lost in their thoughts, each step bringing them closer to the island's exit and the uncertain future that awaits them. Emerging from the temple, they are greeted by a sky that has cleared, the storm clouds parting to reveal a strange, unnatural calm. The floating island, once a place of foreboding and power, now feels empty, as if its purpose has been fulfilled. Riven looks out over the horizon, the blade of the fallen sky in his hand, and wonders if the power it holds is worth the sacrifices made. Rhea stands beside him, her presence a reminder that he is not alone in carrying the burden of their journey. Together, they face the open sky, knowing that the hardest part of their quest may still lie ahead. As they prepare to leave the island, Riven takes one last look at the blade of the fallen sky. He realizes that the true test is not over, that the power the sword holds will continue to test him long after they leave this place. The betrayal, the battles, and the choices made will haunt him, but he knows that he cannot let them define his future. With Rhea by his side, he vows to use the sword's power wisely, to ensure that it does not lead to further destruction. As they step off the island, the ground beneath them begins to crumble, and the floating Isle of Valtora sinks slowly into the clouds, its secrets and sorrows buried forever. As Riven and Rhea leave the floating island of Valtora, the blade of the fallen sky secured at Riven's side, the island begins to disintegrate behind them. The once formidable and mysterious isle is now collapsing into the clouds below, its secrets forever lost to the winds. The journey back is quiet, the skies eerily calm, and Riven finds himself reflecting on the events that have transpired. He knows that the sword's power is a double-edged blade, capable of great good, but also immense destruction. Rhea remains close, her presence a comforting reminder that he is not alone in carrying this burden. Upon returning to the mainland, Riven and Rhea are greeted as heroes by those who had sent them on this perilous quest. Yet the joy of their return is tinged with the sorrow of the sacrifices made. Riven is acutely aware that the power he now wields came at the cost of trust and friendship, with Aemon's betrayal a constant shadow over his triumph. The blade of the fallen sky is placed in a sacred chamber, where it is to be kept until it is needed again, but Riven knows that its influence will always linger. As time passes, Riven finds himself haunted by dreams of the island and the sword. In these visions, the blade whispers to him, tempting him with promises of unimaginable power if only he would wield it again. Riven struggles with the weight of this temptation, knowing that to give in would mean losing everything he holds dear. Rhea senses the growing conflict within him and tries to offer support, but even she cannot fully understand the battle raging in Riven's heart. One fateful night, Riven is awoken by a sharp pain in his chest, the same pain he felt when he first touched the sword. He realizes with a shock that the blade's curse has not been fully lifted, and that it has begun to claim him. Desperate, he seeks out the sacred chamber where the sword is kept, only to find the door already ajar. Inside, he is met with a shocking sight. Calia, standing before the blade, her eyes glowing with an unnatural light. She turns to Riven, revealing that she was the true mastermind behind the quest, manipulating Aemon and the others to fulfill her own dark agenda. Calia explains that the blade of the fallen sky was never meant to save anyone. It is a weapon of control, designed to corrupt and destroy. She had sought it out to bend it to her will, using Riven and his allies as pawns in her game. But now, with the sword in her possession, she no longer needs Riven. With a cruel smile, she moves to strike him down, but Riven, summoning all his remaining strength, manages to grab the blade before she can. In a final desperate act, he plunges the sword into the ground, shattering it and releasing the dark energy within. The room is engulfed in a blinding light as the blade's power is unleashed, consuming Calia and breaking its hold on Riven.